Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV, back with another video. Today I'm in my sort of makeshift studio slash DJ booth because as most of you know, I'm heading over to Europe. I'll be there for about 3 to 4 years. It's all work related because I know I got some emails and some questions with regards to, like, am I going to be DJing out there? Like, is it for DJ purposes? No, it's for work, right? For those of you who don't know, I work in logistics, so I transport material, personnel from all over the world, basically, right? So that I'm involved in the logistics. So I have a contract in Turkey, and then that's going to be for 1 year, and then from there I'll be going over to Germany for another 3 years or 4 years, right? But it's all work related. But again, while I'm out there, again, going to be trying to DJ, still doing tutorials, so don't worry about it. Some of you guys were like, hey, farewell, I appreciate you. Dude, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm still going to be doing tutorials. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm really excited about this one because I got some nice reviews, right, from my previous tutorial, and a lot of the DJs were like, yo, like, can you actually show us, how you did that? Because again, we talked about it before last week, right, with this whole issue of DJs doing the whole like fast mixing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But there are other ways of DJing, like, right? You know what I'm saying to you, and certain people prefer like this style, which is of James Hype. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then some people prefer the style that I provide. So I'm going to provide you a sort of bridge, right? A mix of both, where you have the 3 decks, right? You have the acapellas, but at the same time, it's not like choppy. It's not like we're just going from banger to banger to banger to banger, where it just makes sense, right, throughout the transition. So we're gonna go ahead and work with that. So now let's go ahead and I'm gonna show you how I analyze music, right? Because it's important that as we DJ, right, it's important that we understand where it comes from. It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to just put 3 tracks together. Yes, as you play longer, you get exposed to different sounds, different venues, different times of the night, different demographics, just different situations combined. You start to you start to generate certain patterns, right? And that are your patterns, okay? And also patterns that you take from other DJs' different experiences, okay? But you started to develop these understandings, and they just become natural to you, right? Same thing when we talked about with learning language. However, this is not a rant, this is not passive aggressive, but this is another side block. When it comes to technology, back in the day, you couldn't edit your music, right? And play it because you were on vinyl. Now today we have editing software that we can take music and we can edit it, and then we can play it into our sets.
That's where these tools are invaluable. There's all kinds of information. You learn what it means, you're going to be able to analyze a car a lot better. Back in the day, you had to take the fuel line off the fuel injector rail, get a special adapter, put it on, run it, get a fuel gauge with a long hose to come into the cab here, drive it around and look. This has the information. The fuel pressure's here. You could graph it, whatever you want to do, but you don't have to go through all of that crap to analyze. They're very handy. You want to join the electronic age? It's a good way of doing it.
So my beef a lot with these these veteran DJs is that, oh yeah, vinyl, vinyl, vinyl. But guess what? So you're telling me that it's okay for a producer to take pieces of music, of sound, put it together, press it on vinyl and play it. And everyone loves it. Everyone comes to support. But yet as a DJ, I can't take music, chop it up, and put it and then edit it and put it into a mix so that it sounds different, so that it's more unique to my experience, to my DJ experience. You're saying that I can't do that? You're going to have to hold that because you just did it to yourself. Again, producers can take sounds, create a music, okay? Press it on vinyl and play it on vinyl. But yet, as a DJ, we can't just take things that are at disposal and be able to then edit and modify with the tools that we have, okay? Due to the advance of technology, we can't use that and then now edit music and then put it into our sets. Hold it. You hold it, because I'm not going to hold that because you just did it to yourself. Okay. You vinyl purist, man. And I'm not upset. I'm not being passive aggressive, but we're having a conversation. So the next time you come on me with this whole vinyl, cheating, whatever like that, I'm going to ask you, what kind of car you drive? Right? Do you have a microwave oven? Right? Do you cook your food with the open fire in your backyard? Like, I'm going to ask you. Right? Like, do you have a water filter? I'm going to ask you that kind of stuff, right? Or do you have what do you call it again? For your AC system, right? Is it the AC? I forget what you call it. Or do you have the window AC system, right? I'm gonna ask you these kind of questions, right? Because I want to see how far you have advanced when it comes to your comfort of living. But anyway, that's it. No more rant. We're gonna get into the tutorial. So I already have the cue point set, right? Instead of having to do it live, I decided to put the cue points in. Now, let's get this straight, right? Not every song is gonna be done live, right? Not every set, I would say, within your mix is going to be live. You're gonna have some times where you have pre-planned sets, right? Pre-planned mixes where you have, like, let's say I know that these two tracks go together and I'm gonna play them, from time to time, right? So depending on where you play, I'll take, because again, as you're playing, you normally have an idea of your music, so you can take songs that you play together and you can recreate them, right? And then you can always add, you can remove depending on the situation and depending on what you're trying to achieve. In that particular mix that I did in my last video, it was my signature style where I have this track here, okay? And I had it mixed into here. Sorry. I had it mixed into this. And I also added the acapella, okay, which is here. Let me move it, sorry.
A dedication to the field, to the body.
All right. So what I had to do with this, with the acapella, is that I had to edit it myself because it was just off. Because again, I wanted it to have a certain outcome, so I edited the words to match what I wanted, right? In accordance with the measures of the music, of the song. So this was pre-planned. So I already had the two songs and I was like, hey, you know what? I want to add an acapella to it. And then I decided, let me go ahead and, use this a cappella, but then when I was trying it out, I was mixing it and I was playing with it, I realized, oh, well, there's too much vocals or there's too much words. So I modified it so that it can fit what I was trying to achieve. Again, if it was a different song, I could leave it and then that it would work. But for this particular mix that I was trying to do, it just wasn't working, right? So how did I get then to the mix? I was playing this song. But again, you have to realize, because I want to provide the context. It's not just that I'm playing and I'm going to decide, or I'm going to, without even knowing the song, I'm going to cut into the breakdown. I already knew this song. And at that point in time, I was feeling, you know what? I want to create this impact. That's where it comes from. It's like, I want to create this, because I could have easily just taken the song and let it ride into here. But I'm like, I want to create a different effect. I want to do something. Okay. Again, it's not going to happen all the time. Just because I play this song, Where Are You, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to mix it at that breakdown point. And not only that, not every song is going to be able to mix with that perfectly. So that's why if you do these things, it doesn't always work. Sometimes you're live and you're like, I'm going to try it. It doesn't work. So when it doesn't work, you have to use your EQs and you have to do other things in order to get out of it without it sounding too bad, right? And again, as you play often, as you become more creative, you execute with creativity so that it doesn't look or sound bad, right? And that's the joy of having that level of experience, because you can escape a lot of like these bad points and it really not hurt you or hurt your set. So I'm playing this and I'm like, it's just too much for me at that point. Again, it's not always too much, but at that particular point, I'm like, what can I do with this? So I found a spot, right? And so now you hear that, okay? I have it at what? The quarter note. As you can see, it's coming in too, not loud, but I need to use the EQ, which I'm doing right now, right? In order to create less of an impact, because I don't want it to clash with this track that's coming in. So, and then we'll go over how everything goes together, but I'm just laying down the basics so that you can see where I'm coming from. So I know that it was a lot of what I said, but again, this is, and that's what I said to some of the other commenters. This is a DJ tutorial channel, right? This is not just, oh, I'm just mixing music. This is not only for beginners, but it's also for advanced, right? Because a lot of DJs, they are great at music, but they want to be able to say, hey, listen, how can I take 3 tracks and put them together and it sound good and then not disrupt the dance floor, right? So these are some advanced techniques. But again, I want to make sure that you are understanding. So how did I get to that? It's to that point. Okay, but again, you have to understand, where is this coming from? How do I know that this breakdown, I can work with it? Because I've done it so much in the past. So it becomes natural to me. Again, you have to understand that. It's not that I'm just saying, oh, well, it's just going to pop up. It's just going to just happen automatically. No, I've done this before. So I know what to look for. I know some of the key points that I'm going to be able to work with, and I'm also going to be able to find the right track that's what I need to pound into you guys, that a lot of it has to do with intuition. It's me just knowing, because I'm able to recall experiences from the past, and then it just happens to fall in. Because of so much experience in the past, the outcome is I have a better chance in landing than I would if I was not if experienced in this, right? So for example, I don't know techno. So if I go into techno and I start doing all these things, it's not going to land as well as someone who's been involved in techno and knows the in and outs and the nuances of techno. So hopefully this is making more sense to you, right? So, and I'm like, okay, how do I get that? Now, again, this is, let's say I was doing this live, right? And I'm coming here. And I'm like, okay, so we got 8 bars there. So that's 16 bars right there. Okay. So 16 plus 8, that's what? 24 bars, right? Was it? No. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. Yeah, 24 bars, right? So I know that at 24 bars, it's gonna release. So I'm already doing this in advance. Let's say I'm doing this live. I'm checking this. So while this is playing here, okay, while this is playing, I'm already searching. And this is done like, okay, where can I go? Because again, how do I know? Okay, it's 30 seconds. I know it's 8 bars. I know, and then I'm skimming for it and I'm listening. How busy is it? If it was busy, if there was a lot of piano, I would not be able to use it, right? I know that's basic for a lot of people, but it's important because a lot of this information, you can be like, oh, okay, now this makes sense, and now you connect it to the other aspects. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then now I have to then take a track like this.
A dedication to the field.
That's not too busy. That's
To the vibe.
so that I know, okay, I can't have a vocal that's just constantly talking. It's got to like just give me stabs. A dedication to the vibe. A dedication to the vibe. So there's enough space in between that while I'm playing it, it makes sense.
A dedication to the field. To the vibe.
All right. So you see how I analyzed it, right? So again, this is the last time just to recover. As I'm playing this track here, while another track is playing, while another track is coming in, I'm already saying, okay, do I want to keep this? Okay, so it's done quickly, right? And because I've worked on this before, or let's say it was something where it just happened to be, I will then make note of this, and the next time, because again, as you're playing out, you remember, oh, okay, I did that with that song. And then you try it with something else. You try it with another song. You try it. And then it becomes something like embedded. So you memorize, where this would go. And then you have your cue points. That's why technology is good, because now I can keep the cue point and it stays with this track. So now every time I play it, I know either I can use this point or I can just bypass it and then just do as I would normally do in that song play out. But you see how I'm not disrupting the dance floor. I'm not disrupting the mood. So it doesn't create this hype where people are looking at me and they're anticipating. Because once you do that, people are going to be anticipating. Oh, what's the next song? What's the next song? What's the next drop? What's the next drop? So again, the style of James Hype is the same thing as the EDM. It's just a more intimate space, but you're still looking for that drop. So your mind is conditioned. Oh, what's the next song? Oh, 2 minutes is too long. What's the next one? What's the next song? What's the next song? And you want to look at your friends. You want to look at your, the people who you with. Oh yeah, you're waiting for that next drop. Waiting for that next, oh, I don't like this track. I don't like this song. I'm waiting for the next track. Like that's what's going to happen. That's what happens. Listen, I know because I've been a dancer. I've been in the clubs. So again, that experience as well. That's how I can articulate this because I've been a dancer. I do dance. I'm in the clubs. And when you're with your other dancers, right, you're like, oh, I'm not feeling this track. And then you wait for that another song to come in, and then, okay, now let's go ahead and do it, right? But I don't stay on the dance floor. I'll go somewhere else. I'll hang out. I'll go drink. And then when that track comes on, then I'll come in, right? And so as I'm playing this here, I don't want to affect the dance floor. So boom. And then now what we're going to do, we're going to head and put everything together, and we're going to try it out. But guess what? This little set right here, I can have, and when I go play somewhere else, I can use this again. And then I can use it again. I can keep using it if I go to different spots. So that's why you make notes of your little sets that you can just like do. You see what I'm saying to you? But again, you practice it, right? You practice, you figure out. And as you get better at this kind of stuff, it's less practice. You already know, okay, I'm going to take this song and I'm going to add that. Because again, this is the final thing that I'll say. I'm playing this right here. So you hear the bass, right? You hear the structure of the song. That bouncy. Boom, 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 boom. So now guess what? A lot of DJs, they won't even take that into consideration. They'll wait until this right here. They'll wait like that, and then they'll figure out a song that matches that. But I want that bounciness, right? That bounce. Boom, boom, boom. Again, as you play out, you start to notice these, you quickly notice, oh, there's a bounce to it, a bounce. So guess what? The track that I want to go with this, if I'm going to continue that vibe, if I'm going to change the vibe, it's different, right? But it also has to make sense. We talked about that before, right? It doesn't have to go all the time. But if you're going to make it go, it has to make sense. But I'm like, you know what? I have another song that has that similar bounce to it that makes sense. So I'm like, cool, let's see what goes with that. Ah, it's got that bounce. Ah, it's got that bounce. So then I'm like, okay, I can use that. And then guess what? I test it. After I test it, oh, does it make sense? Oh, well, no, I can put it here. Oh no, I can add it here. And then I it's like a Lego block, and I keep working it. If I have to, maybe sometimes it may not work as well. And I'm like, okay, well, if I add some EQ and I sort of cover it, you know, to make it look good, or I may have to loop it somewhere, or I may have to do something. Again, that comes with experience and creativity. A lot of it has to do with intuition and creativity. I don't know which one comes first, but it's creativity, intuition. It's like, okay, like I automatically know, but intuition doesn't come from luck. It just comes from your previous experiences that are embedded, that are subconscious, that you can recall. And the more that you generate these experiences, you're exposed to these things, you'll be able to recall them. Okay. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and go over, and we're gonna do the mix itself, and then we'll show you. You know, again, it may not be perfect the way that it comes out now. It may come perfect, but again, because I haven't been DJing today at all, I'm not. And that's another thing as well. I know I'm talking a lot, but you have to. This is in class, so don't get upset if I'm talking too much, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you, but what I'm saying is, it's the same thing as anything, right? I go back to football. As you're playing, you warm up, right? You don't go into a football game or into a soccer match and go cold, right? You have to warm up. It's the same thing if you're playing basketball. You warm up. Tennis. I'm loving Alcaraz now, because he's the Nadal protege, because I need someone, you know, after Nadal retires, that I need to follow, and Alcaraz is someone who I'm going to be following now. You warm up even during the day, a couple hours prior to the match, even during the match, you warm up, right? You don't go in there cold. So, and as you warm up, things become a little bit more fluid to you. So if I'm DJing already, and I decide that I'm gonna do this, it's gonna become easier than if I just decide like right now, hey, I'm going to, what do you call that again? Just off the cuff, just do it, right? So it may come out nice, it may not. I may make mistakes, whatever the case may be, but we'll just see, right? So let's go. All right, so let's simulate as if. All right, so now this is the time that I'm taking, that I'm gonna go put in a new track. I'm finding it. Right, okay, now I found it. So now I have my cue points already, so that saves some time, right? All right, so now I gotta start matching it.
But I am no fool. I gotta wait forever. I'll try to look around for somebody new.
All right, so you see I don't have that much time here, right? So I have that loop, that's what saves us some time. I have everything set. Now, again, you have to hold multiple concepts. I'm gonna have to do the loop, add in the acapella. There's a lot going on here. Remove that loop. Now here, I have to start cutting away ever so slightly, so when the loop comes in, it's not so heavy. So we're gonna go with the next track, right? So now, how I'm gonna do this, right? I take this, I see it here, and I'm like, okay. All right, so I'm gonna bring this one down. So let's analyze this, right? So that as that's playing, I'm like, okay, where am I now? Okay, 8 bars. All right, so then I know that there's some stuff coming in here. So it starts to commit, so then I know that I have until 1:30, okay? So now I know, okay, where I can bring this in, okay? So all this is playing, but I just wanted to do that so I can explain to you and stop that. So because I have plenty of time on the other one, right? So let's go back to this one. So you see how I quickly analyzed it and saw it where it stopped as well. But, also sorry. I should also, and because while I have the time as well, I'm also, how does it end? You see, so it's got some bass in there, so I have to be careful of that. So now I'm gonna have to make sure that I take that into consideration, right? So I may have to use a lot of EQ to filter out the bass so it's not as heavy, right? All right, we're going back. So now you see how I'm actually, what do you call that again? Analyzing the tracks. So now I have to set. And this is another trick that I want to show you as well, right? So let's say I want to start bringing the see, look to the right, you see I'm using the BPMs. I want to bring it because it's a little too slow, because if you can see right here, bringing it down, up, I want to speed it up, but so that people don't hear it. This is a little trick. If you want to bring up the BPM. Again, as you may be listening to it right now, you're like, oh, I heard that, but when you're on the dance floor, you don't really hear it. And I may not have gone so up. I could have, left it at here and then slowly just bring it up the BPM to 124 because this right here is faster. So I bring it to 135. There's a little story. I remember when I was creating a mix and I had someone master it for me. They were like, "Why do you have it at 124.6? You trying to mess up DJs?" I'm like, "No, like, why does it have to be like 124.00?" So, I'm sorry. I missed the spot because I was distracted talking to you guys. So again, if I would have left it how it went, but because I was talking to you guys, I got distracted. Again, that's why it's important as you're doing this stuff. You don't try to get distracted. Like, you have to be so focused on what's going on here. Because I missed my spot. Because I already know exactly where in my mind it's supposed to be. And it's gonna happen, right? Sometimes you're gonna miss the spot and you're just gonna have to deal with it. But when you miss a spot, you have like just dead space, right? When you can't create that. You see how I'm just keeping it moving? So if I didn't do that, it would not have. Again, start removing some of the elements. And I'm gonna keep it here. Because I have time, right? Sometimes when you're like, oh, do I have time? Because it's a long song. And I'm gonna bring back the acapella. See, I messed up. I messed up because of this whole, I was supposed to use the, and that's why I hate having 4 things in one like this. I messed up. All right, let's go back because it just sucks, man. And I wanted to show you something that I was gonna do. All right, you know what I'm saying. Like I'm not gonna go back to it, but let me bring back the acapella. All right. So yeah, so you saw what I just did right there, right? Like it didn't come out perfect because I'm doing a tutorial and it's like I'm trying to speak at the same time and I'm trying to multitask, so it's not gonna come out perfect, right? Like, but you get the picture, right? Like if I did it right now and I went and I wasn't talking or I wasn't saying anything, like it would just be, you know, it would flow. Obviously everything went where it's supposed to be. The acapella, I just threw it in there. It wasn't supposed to be in there, and I tried to like see, okay, where can I go with it? Did it work? I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's not always going to be placed right. Again, like this is what I also want, like for you not to always think that like everything's going to be like so perfect. Like I just decided, hey, let's just go ahead and just do that, and add the acapella. And as you can see, like the BPMs weren't matching, so I had to increase it a little bit. And it's gonna happen. It's not gonna be perfect all the time. Like you try things, but you need to remain calm, dude. Like don't freak out and be like, oh man, this just sucks and I gotta stop and whatever. These things happen, right? So hopefully, right, you sort of understand, because I know there was a lot going on, but that's the whole process in terms of analyzing your music, you have to know what you're looking for. And it's not always about, like, I have to know my music. It's not always the case. Sometimes it's like you may be playing a song that you're not familiar with, but you have to analyze it. And it goes back to what I was saying before. It's easier for you to analyze and for you to use the tools that you have in order to create a unique DJ experience, a unique show, because that's all we have right now. We're not producers. And that's what it bothers me, because it's like producers, that's their lore. They create music, they get all these promotions, they get all the marketing, and they get to have people come support them for their own music. But as DJs, what are we limited? We are limited to playing other people's music. But then, it's like, well, you have to just limit it to just playing on vinyl. I know that I'm projecting because that's not what DJs say, but by you just interjecting and saying that I'm cheating with Tractor, that essentially means that I have no right to, go beyond playing, track to track. And then not only that, I have to only limit myself to certain music, because the music that's right now, it's not being... the music that's being produced right now, a lot of it, the majority of it is not on vinyl, right? So it just bothers me, right? Like when people have that approach of just the absolute mindset. I'm not talking about the veterans who they accept, technology. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those who are with this whole cheating. Yeah, there's certain aspects of technology where you can take it too far. It's just like anything, right? There are certain areas where if you just rely on certain specific features within a program, then yeah, like it's like it takes away from the art, from the creativity and everything else. But if you're using it, right, for the purpose of generating art without stepping up, and I think we as creatives, we understand the limits, right? We understand certain areas where you just don't cross as a whole, right? We can come to these understandings on our own without having to have someone say, oh yeah, you're passing that threshold. Like if you just sink the entire time, there's nothing wrong with it. But as a creative art, we can say, okay, dude, like, you're not gaining anything from that, right? And if you live your life, you live your life. And it's not for me to come into your place or space and be like, oh, you're sinking all this time and you're trash or whatever. And then now for me to impose, you need to be doing this. That we don't do that. But if you feel the need that you've been DJing for over 26 years and to come and say that, hey, someone's cheating, you need to hold that. That's what you need to hold. You need to live with your life. You need to figure out where you are in your life, that in this specific area, it's like, I'm going to, comment with regards to technology, but everything else, I'm going to live my life according to the societal standards and through the advance of technology. But because I'm so passionate in DJing, it's a different, and I'm like, nah, you can't do that. You hold that, right? But again, I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm just providing further context into there's nothing wrong with being only vinyl. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not going to come onto you like, oh, you only play vinyl? Like, you're limiting yourself. I would never do that, because that's your space. Other than that, dude, hey, appreciate your time and effort. If you're here, hey, good to go. If you didn't like it, hey, just let me know as well. I mean, I'm not absolved of critique or criticism, right? So, but anyway, Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV, we out.